Welcome back to the show, everybody. Check out these headlines. The world is making plans and the U.S. dollar ain't in it. We're going to cover it. The former SEC advisor calling for an investigation into ETHgate. You're going to want all of that. And the SEC has to respond to 766 requests today. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. The market is bleeding heavily from top to bottom here. $1.870 trillion market cap for crypto. Afternoon. It is April 11th. 2022, everybody. Good afternoon. 5.49% down on the market today. Bitcoin 40,000 plus. We see Ethereum 3,000 slightly over. And XRP at the number 6 spot is 70 cents now, off by 13.77% on the 7-day, and half of that essentially on the 24-hour. We're ranging between 71 and 78 cents. So you can see we've been falling off a cliff today. Take a look at this. This isn't falling off a cliff. And this is why I love private equity. And I don't mind telling you, you guys know I've been vocal about it. I hold Uphold, Ripple, Link2, and a few others on the platform. And I can tell you the biggest holder that I have out of all the private equity on Link2.com is Link2 itself. Very, very excited about what they got to offer. Make sure you register if you're not accredited. You get plenty of information for free just being a part of this platform. But if you are accredited, don't mess around. Get this stuff. In some shape, way, or form, it's going to make an exit off this platform. And when it does, it won't be available anymore. So make sure you check it out. Link underneath the video. Take a look at this right now. This is absolutely a joke right here from TAIG and Bitcoin magazines. Is Jack Mallers here. Listen to this clip. We know the story. I can't even take it. It's just that awful. We know the rest of the story, right? Nayib Bukele, however you say his name, the president of El Salvador, has made a horrible decision to call it Bitcoin legal tender, which is a joke, honestly. And I think, listen, I think history's going to be with me. And if it's not, you know what? I've got humility. I'll make the video if I'm wrong. But I'm telling you right now, it's a problem. Because, look, I mean, everybody's making a big deal out of this strike and sending money. But you see this big container that DAI's in right here for mining Bitcoin? It's not even necessary with XRP. You don't even need it. As he said in his tweet, XRP fixes this. And it does. Here's the other problem, Jack. Can I use your platform and go from, let's say, Mexican pesos to US dollars? Or Philippine pesos to Thai baht? Oh, that's right. You can't. But the XRP ledger can. See, this is the problem with all of this hype right here. It really is. And that's why I take a look at this. Take a look at this. Look at what they're doing here at the Bitcoin conference. Max Kaiser tearing up money. Take a look.
That's the fiat currency. It's all garbage.
This is all shit.
It's fake.
You're gonna give it. It's worse than the plague.
Yeah, it's
and children don't touch this. It's worse than drugs.
Remember another one? Remember another one.
And here we go. So here's the deal. If you think the U.S. government, or any other government for that matter, is going to sit idle and watch Bitcoin destroy fiat dollars, you're living on planet Xanadu. Where are you from? Max Kaiser knows better than this. He's a traditional investor. This is hype, ladies and gentlemen. You think governments that have tanks, it's Brad Garlinghouse said it too. Years ago he said it. You'll see tanks rolled out by governments before you see their government dollars go away. You make no mistake about that. That's another reason why we know XRP is positioned for the role that it's in, to be a bridge currency. Now let's change gears right here because it was a tag to J.W. Verrett here. Can you weigh in on this? He respects his opinion, talking about the crypto law, sharing the Hinman emails explicitly warned to not receive money from Simpson Thacker because it was a conflict of interest. And JW responded back here and he says, I don't have all the facts, and I agree with many of the arguments in Hinman's speech on Ethereum. He said, I also think this at least requires an SEC Inspector General investigation. Come on in. This is a former SEC advisor now calling for the IG, Inspector General investigation, could either clear Bill or provide more background about what happened. This law firm retirement ethics policies are also a hot mess. I mean, this is where we're at, ladies and gentlemen, and I ask you this. Who's going to be the Ross Ulbricht of ETHgate? Ross Ulbricht being the guy that went to jail for Silk Road when a lot of other people were using Silk Road to do many, many things. I ask you, who's going to be the Ross Ulbricht of ETHgate, ladies and gentlemen? Who is it going to be? Drum roll, please. India doesn't embarrass very easily these days. They require a 30% tax on income made from trading or investing in crypto assets. However, Sushil Kumar Modi, a member of India's upper house of parliament and member of the country's ruling party, believe crypto gains should be taxed and subject to 50% tax. Could you come up with that by yourself? I got to tell you, that's almost as embarrassing as the governor in Maryland that year he came up with the rain tax. That's not a joke. That actually happened. Then we have Senator Pat Toomey here who's like, you know what? I see something going wrong here. Senator Pat Toomey is well versed when it comes to crypto and stable coins. And CoinDesk shared here, FDIC has asked its banks to report crypto-related activities, citing potential safety and soundness risks, as well as financial stability concerns. It might be a sign of more strict regulation. Senator Pat Toomey picks up on it and says the FDIC's restrictive new crypto reporting requirement is the latest effort to illegitimately discourage banks from offering digital assets. He goes on to say, this short-sighted action taken without a Senate-confirmed chairman or legislation could have a chilling effect on any bank considering offering crypto services. Rather than reflexively pumping the brakes on banks using new technologies like cryptos and stablecoins, regulators should provide clear pathways for innovation and congressional authorization. The FDIC's directive underscores the need for Congress to provide regulatory clarity. That's why I recently released the Stablecoins Trust Act, which allows stablecoin issuers to choose from 3 different options: obtaining a new federal license, operating under state authority, or becoming a bank. Not bad right there. But let's take a look at this, because this is really laughable, because this goes back to the Bitcoin conference and what we dealt with over that weekend, which I tell you was just, it was crazy. I went to the Miami conference last year and I went to the one this year, just this past weekend. And listen, it is laughable. Emilio F. Castillo says here, I don't know who needs to hear this, but Jack Mallers' announcement at Bitcoin 2022 rendered XRP technology obsolete. I can't even say it without laughing. It's laughable. Again, like I cited earlier, can Jack Mallers' little strike app change me from Thai baht to Mexican pesos? Can it change me from Japanese yen to US dollar or British pound to any other dollar? You name it. It can't do it. Cannot do it. Doesn't. Cannot. Does not. Oh, brother. With everything thrown at XRP like the SEC case, they're still scared to death of it. Otherwise, why do they keep mentioning it? I'll tell you why. Because they're acknowledging it in this statement that XRP is really the one to beat. And they know it. They know it better than anybody. And that's why there was so much what appears to be collusion through the SEC and EEA and all the other consensus and everything else to get the free pass for Ethereum. And a lot of this is because the world is making plans, ladies and gentlemen. They're making plans and the US dollar isn't in it. And this right here from Linda P. Jones, the commodity currency revolution from a dollar-based global economy underwritten by financial assets to commodity-backed currencies. That's where we're going. Well, guess what? That's what the XRP ledger actually is. It's a decentralized exchange for which you can collateralize that exchange and ledger to represent value through the XRP token. In other words, you could put gold, silver, copper, platinum, oil, diamonds, all kinds of tokenized things to represent these assets on the ledger as collateral, stocks, bonds, derivatives, so on and so on. And guess what? That gives you your value or a price floor for these commodity-backed currencies. If we take a look at this really quickly, there was just something I wanted to show you in here. In this article, the close relationship between gold, oil, and wider commodities has been shown. It appears that Russia has found a way of tying her currency not to the dollar, but to commodities through gold. And that China has effectively been doing the same thing for 2 years without the gold link. The logic is to escape the consequences of currency and credit expansion for the dollar and other Western currencies as their purchasing power is undermined, and the use of a gold peg is an interesting development in this context. All of this is pointing to this right here. I covered this about Zoltan Pozsar from Credit Suisse, who is telling us that we are seeing the new Bretton Woods 3 rolled out in front of us, which means a new system, a new financial system is in the process of rolling out. And all of that is coming to an end with a new commoditization, what Respect Flows analyst Zoltan Pozsar at Credit Suisse calls for Bretton Woods 3 in his enumeration. The first was suspended by President Nixon in 1971, and the second ran from then until now when the dollar has ruled indisputably. That brings us to Bretton Woods 3. And I've played for you many times on this channel that Bretton Woods, the call for a new Bretton Woods, also from Kristalina Georgieva from the IMF. It is well underway. And that's why we see Russia in the middle of this Ukraine conflict urging BRICS coalition, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa nations, their coalition, to create their own SWIFT system, warning sanctions are destroying the international order. And that's what we're moving to, as Zoltan Pozsar has told us as well from Credit Suisse. This is all coming together. Now let's change gears and finish up here with the case, because this came out back in March. Shout out to Cozy for this one. But if you're paying attention, and there's so much to really keep on top of in this case, on next up due dates, expectations for the Ripple SEC lawsuit. Let's go through and look at this based on recent developments. James K. Filan, shout out to you, Jim, Connecticut-based attorney who focuses on securities litigation, has given insights on the upcoming due dates of what Ripple enthusiasts should expect. Talks about the DPP case, or we know we're waiting on the DPP issue and other things, but let's take a look at this. The SEC, which requested a 2-day extension to respond Ripple's request to strike the supplemental expert rebuttal report, is filing its reply to blockchain company tomorrow on denying SEC's request to stop the fair notice defense. The agency is mandated to respond to Ripple's 776 requests for admission relating to the company's lack of due process and fair notice. A period of 30 days was given to the SEC to respond to this request, which implies that the securities agency has until April 11th, 2022 to come up with a perfect reply. That is today, ladies and gentlemen. So we will keep you up to date on that. It does go on to say, notably, the duo must respond to the First Amendment complaint on the denial of Garlinghouse and Larson's appeal to have the charges against him dropped. this was previous to the entire process will last for 120 days, which takes us to the lawsuit to July 8, 2022. It says, while there is still no definite date for the lawsuit to end, Ripple noted in a recent document that the case could end on November 18, 2022 as well. That is a tentative date. No one knows for sure when the case will end, but that date of April 11th today for the 776 requests from Ripple is today. So we'll keep a lookout and see if James Filan hits us with any information on that. And as we look at price falling off a cliff, we see this from technical analyst Crypto Bull, who says XRP is still one of the most bullish looking cryptos right now, 4 consecutive high lows since March 2020. The price is squeezing and breakout is right around the corner, he says. So regardless of the dip in price that we're seeing now, things still look bullish to him and many other technical analysts that we follow on here. So, not financial advice from me or anyone else, but that's where we are on this day. Make sure you leave a comment below and check out all the links underneath the video. They're great products and services I use each and every day. I'll catch all of you on the next one.